time, so you're gonna. Let's call this meeting to order at
3:55.
3:55. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Carrie,
Present.
Gable,
Present.
Flintoff, present. Grant,
Present.
Monk, absent. Noel,
Present.
Riser, absent. We have one.
So this was a special meeting called by 4 board members. Apparently, I guess it would be the 4 of you. And the topic is discussion and potentially approving any managerial reassignments as recommended by the Permanent Manager Committee prior to hiring a permanent manager.
Okay, I'd like to propose an agenda that the board consider the potential approval of recommendations that have been made to date by the Permanent Manager Committee.
That's the board.
I guess I'd suggest that under new business, Jillian. No, that's okay. I think it would make sense as a potential under new business to consider proposed resolution to revise the temporary assignments of certain duties to officers and staff.
That's the board.
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Could we do a roll call just so I get the record right on the?
Sure.
Okay. So on the adoption of the agenda, Carrie,
No.
Gable,
Yes.
Flintoff, yes, Grant,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
amended, agenda adopted.
Next is public comments. Any interested public in person would like to speak? Come up to the table, please. None? Any online?
Anyone online that wishes to speak with public comment, please raise your Zoom hand. We have Pam Boyd. Go ahead, Pam.
I have a question. Was Brandon asked about this change? Thank you. That's it.
Kristen, you want to respond?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. her.
He and I spoke this morning.
What, yeah, but what did Pam?
She wanted to know if Brandon was aware of the change or asked or mentioned or
question.
discussed. He and I spoke this morning. Pam, do you have anything else? Your hand is still up.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else that wishes to speak at public comment? No other hands are raised.
Okay, on to new business. There is a resolution that's already been created for these changes. Let's have discussion first.
Do you want a discussion or do you want to see if there's a first and second for the resolution?
Well, no, it says the purpose of discussing and potentially approving any managerial assignment. So I believe that we should go in order of discussion.
Okay.
Who would like to begin?
I would be supportive of this. It's consistent with what I stated a little bit ago, but having all of the members, not members, but all of the departments, they're reporting to Christie with the addition of Brandon. It makes sense from a simplifying standpoint. It also makes sense from a standpoint of the priorities that the board and all of us have over the next several months, including the budget, capital improvement plan, and other items that'll come up in this next few months.
I'd also say that the draft resolution that Christie prepared would do a couple of things. First, I'd note the draft states who's present and absent. We had anticipated Monk to also be present, but she is absent. She and Riser have both had travel delays and send their regrets. The resolution restates what is the status quo. Prior to this, we had a resolution of the same name that kind of laid out, you know, parks and project manager reporting to the office coordinator. The two changes would be what was recommended at the last committee meeting, which is to have the office coordinator supervise the IT director, who in turn supervises the IT specialist. That had been at the last meeting. And the recommendation from the meeting we just had a bit earlier today, that the office coordinator would supervise the utility director. Everything else would be as is.
And I want to say that I'm supportive of this for the reasons stated in our previous meeting. I know it sounds difficult to hear some of what I said, but I too am deeply concerned about some things that have gone on here. So I'm hoping we can address some issues. I'm hoping that there is improvement in communication and collaboration. I'm willing to participate in that. I had hoped you were gonna reach out over the weekend when the meeting was canceled on Friday, so.
Yes, and you could have reached out as well. Okay, trustee Noel, please explain what you discussed earlier in the meeting, because this special meeting says discussion. So this was brought up in the earlier meeting. Could you please discuss?
The issues?
Yes, the
Yeah,
issues.
well, okay.
So everybody's on the
So-
same page.
Have to.
I'm asking, I'm requesting.
Well, I gave a brief summary, but I can go into more detail. I have concerns about some of the issues that have been raised to me from some of you and others regarding what's some of the things that have gone on in the utilities department. I'm concerned with these equal violations, some emails that have been sent. I also said in the other meeting, I was deeply concerned about the way our township board meeting was handled on Friday, the scheduling. I never had an issue with residents going. It was that the previously scheduled meeting was canceled, the afternoon meeting, and a new meeting scheduled for the morning, when I had said weeks earlier I wasn't available in the morning. I had made plans to attend the afternoon meeting. It got arbitrarily canceled. And then nobody reached out to me about that at all. So that was my concern with the Friday meeting. I do support assigning the utility supervisory responsibilities to Christie. It does offer consistency within the organization. Christie is already supervising other operations within the organization. So given multiple factors and multiple issues, I think it's the best decision for us at this time. And I do hope we can try to open up some better, more productive communication.
Kathleen,
Hold on, whatever.
She raised her hand.
Clerk Flintoff.
Yeah, I support the change both for IT and utilities director. Again, I think more consistency and supervision across the department. Christie, I think since we, she's taken on these additional responsibilities, has done an excellent job of stepping up, and I've seen that her capacity is such that she can supervise additional people. I think it provides more consistency. Utilities is really complex. I know that when Joyce was here, she spent a lot of time working with Brandon through the various issues that would come up, everything from A to Z in such a department. I mean, I think like our fire department, it's probably two of our most, critical, complex departments that we have here. But I would support moving supervision to Christy for more consistency. I know that Christy reported she had a positive conversation with Brandon this morning. He's aware and amenable, and so I see no reason not to move forward and in support of this resolution.
Finished?
Yeah.
Trustee Brandt, do you have anything to say?
Yes, I do. Regarding Christie and giving her too much work to be accomplished. I think many of us are working on looking at the administrative tasks that she does and trying to figure out how to alleviate some of that. I myself have offered to train staff on how to use Outlook and Outlook calendaring. That's just one example of things that she probably shouldn't be doing. If this was a burden, I trust she would tell us that. And on the regarding collaboration, I have had no collaboration. No one has reached out to me to talk to me about anything that's been happening in utilities with changes being made. No one has reached out to me. If no one reaches out to me, then I don't know that those things are happening. So it's a two-way street. I'm hoping, and I said this before, that we can get to a better spot. Certainly any of us that chose to run for office, this is not what we envisioned. This is not my goal. I spoke repeatedly to the prior board about transparency, about listening to the public. I believe all of those things. I'm hoping we can turn a corner here. I'm interested in what is the best for the township, and that is why I will support this resolution.
Okay, I have things to say here. Yes, utilities is very complex, and the reason why I chose utilities when it was discussed as a board to be under me, and we decided not the finance part, because that should be, utility billing should be under the treasurer. However, I took this on because when I became a utility customer back in 2011, I called Scott Martin and also talked with Virginia. Many of you don't even know who Virginia is. Virginia was our billing, utility billing. I taught myself, with the help of Scott Martin, utilities inside and out. And I have consistently been learning, because that's what I do. I don't take on anything lightly. And I don't take on things that I can't handle. So when residents contacted me from Trailwoods a couple years ago, as a resident, I was a resident because they heard I was researching everything. I found out what the problem was with their bills. And I said, this is what's happening. You're being charged based on developer usage. This is wrong. Your title company should have caught that. Our utility department should be aware of this. Maybe they're not. So that's what they did. I have consistently, since then, been working with Brandon and also Christy. We sat down. I have notes. I found these notes over the weekend because I'm organizing everything. The notes that we went through, and Brandon and I and you went through. Brandon, what is this? He gave us a list of things. We went through and asked for details, and he told us what was going on, what still needed to happen. when there's an issue with this violation that came up, Brandon brought it to me and I said, what's going on here? And he said, our field director, he had this, he missed the, getting the paperwork in. Okay, and it happened twice. This is right after, Brandon was brought in. Before that, we put this field director, this field tech into a field director position because we didn't have anybody. Scott Martin had retired and also Eugene was getting ready to retire. We only had two other people in utilities. So this person took it over, which he was not trained. It was pushed upon him. So we are setting our employees up for failure instead of, sitting down and onboarding and then looking at the department and saying, oh, looks like we need more staff. We do have more staff. Brandon has done an excellent job in our water and sewer. And I can go back to when Scott Martin was up at this board asking for help. Don't build this building over here. It's gonna be too small. You're gonna outgrow it. Guess what? The certificate of occupancy is March of 2020, 4 years later. So we're stuck. Okay, so this is what our utility director has completed in 2024. Liberty Road Water Main Startup Calibration.
Julie, this is not about Brandon's performance.
Well, this is what it feels like. Because all of this stuff, these minor things that have happened, and also people interfering with utilities without even communicating with me about this. And the same with other things that are going on. But everybody's so easy. It's easy to point out a few minor things that we're beating it over like a dead horse instead of looking at what our employees are actually doing. So this resolution, and here's another thing, you call a special meeting. This special meeting was for the discussion and potentially approving managerial reassignments. You've already made up your mind, which is a round robining violation of the Open Meetings Act, because we shouldn't even have a resolution for this special meeting.
We can
This
have
resolution
resolutions.
should be for the next board meeting when we're all here. But this was already set up, 4 people made up their minds, and there's a special meeting. And I do know that Christy is working her butt off. I sat in her office the other day and I said, Christy, I am in support of what you are doing. And if you ever have any issues with me or need to discuss, you come to me. Because I'm hearing about all these things. Christy said that you stabbed her in the back. Christy said, I'm like, what? This is what I've heard. No, she knows enough to come to me. Also, I said to you, we need a manager in this township because we need somebody strong enough that's not going to be pushed around by other board members. I also said to you today that if you are going to be taking on more and more, we need to give you the salary you deserve. I am in support of supporting our employees to support our township and the people that elected us in. This BS that we've been going through is just unbelievable and unacceptable. So I will be voting down 1 out of 4. We really also need to start including John Reiser and Judy Monk in everything.
They're not available.
They both
Either one
said
of them
they'd
is
try to
available.
make it.
Yes, but
both
they
had
will
flight
be
delays.
here next Tuesday for us to make a decision together.
I just want to point out that the assignments we made prior to hiring a new position, manager, whatever you want to call it, were always temporary. And I had that conversation with you, Jillian. I said, this is a temporary assignment.
Exactly.
So
And I supported the special meeting in order to make these effective immediately. I think it serves the staff the best. I think it serves the township the best.
But these decisions were already made before we got here because a resolution, we went over in our other meeting and then all of a sudden we have a resolution that this is what we're gonna do.
We often bring proposed resolutions to the board table. This is not out of the law.
I had not seen the resolution until it was just handed to me.
Exactly.
so the
But everybody
resolution-
should take their time to read it.
I've just seen the resolution as well.
And that's my point, is that somebody created this with a decision that was already made.
Well, the decision is based on how the board votes on this. There's no pre-decision.
Board members often bring draft resolutions that other board members haven't seen to the table.
With an unexpected special meeting to already vote on something that was talked about behind the scenes.
It is a concern that's been coming up in different areas for a while, so.
But it hasn't been brought up before. So let's move on. Whose resolution is this?
It's the township's resolution.
No, I was not part of this resolution. Who created this resolution?
I drafted it.
Yeah, I gave her formatting advice about how to combine the two prior resolutions we have, because we have one that is temporary assignments, and then we had another one that amended it. And I gave suggestions on how to put it all together into one.
Who's presenting this resolution? No, I want the person who created this to present it. So it was you, Jessica, and
Just
You just
offered.
offered it.
As often to read the resolution presented for a vote, but I think you got the answer. Chrissy said she drafted it with Jessica's input as well.
well, generally, what we do during board meetings is whoever presents the, or places it on the agenda is the one that presents it.
Depends.
That's not a rules of
You
order.
can just ask for a first and a second or an offer and support.
Did you move it, Brian?
I'll move the resolution.
I'll support.
It needs to be read out loud, please.
Would you like me to read it or just you want?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Okay. So the following preamble and resolution were offered by Yeaple, supported by Noel. Whereas the clerk, supervisor, treasurer, and board of trustees each hold distinct responsibilities under Michigan law. And whereas under MCL 4175A, township board may employ a township manager and other employees as are necessary. They shall serve at the pleasure of the township board, shall perform duties lawfully directed by the township board, except those duties that are delegated by law to another township official unless consent has been granted. And whereas the board of trustees have delegated certain responsibilities to the township manager in Scio Township Code of Ordinances, chapter 2-40, and motion of July 25th, 2021. And whereas the current township manager resigned effective September 15th, 2024, and the board's ad hoc interim manager committee has recommended that certain responsibilities of the manager be distributed to certain officers and staff. And whereas with the exception of any duties that are delegated by law to another township official, unless consent has been granted, the township board may revise this assignment of responsibilities at any time. And whereas the board of trustees anticipates that these assignments will be temporary until the board recruits a candidate. And whereas effective September 16th, 2024, the human resources generalist and code enforcement officer report directly to the board of trustees. And whereas the clerk has supervised the finance team effective September 16th, 2024. Whereas effective October 22nd, 2024, the ops coordinator has supervised the fire chief, project manager, and parks director. And whereas since September 16th, 2024, trustee Noah supervised the planning and zoning consultant and engineering consultant in partnership with the utilities director and represents the township with the utilities director at regular meetings with the city of Ann Arbor in regards to the water contract. And now therefore be it resolved, effective immediately, the office coordinator will supervise the IT director, who in turn supervises the IT specialist. And be it further resolved that effective immediately, the office coordinator will supervise the utility director. Be it finally resolved that any resolution in conflict with this resolution is repealed, but only to the extent to give this resolution full force and effect.
We had a motion and we had a support.
Yep, offered by Yeaple, support by Noel.
Roll call vote, please.
Carrie,
No.
Yeaple,
Yes.
Flintoff, yes, Grant,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
resolution adopted 5-1.
Public comment?
Oh, excuse me, I misspoke. Thank you. Resolution adopted 4-1. Public comment.
Public comment? Anyone in person like to come up?
Hey, Murphy.
Okay, Murphy Harrington, Scio Township employee. I wanted to make a few statements about some of what has just occurred and my personal concern with the way things have unfolded today. One being for the residents who were notified that this would be a discussion about this topic, and there are residents that weren't even able to sign in to the meeting at 3:30 who were then forced to drive here to attend in person. Then to essentially not be privy to the conversation and discussion because it took place beforehand. I think that that is robbing the residents of their ability and right to have heard this discussion in the first place. The term deep concern was brought up with some of the way things have been unfolding with utilities, and particularly this incident that led to this meeting. And I like to say that I hope that that same level of concern will be brought to the concerns that employees are bringing up to individuals and board members right now. I hope that you all take that as seriously as you've taken this, as we, as employees, feel that we have not been listened to. So I hope that this is a catalyst to make sure that employees are listened to. Second, as it was said, utilities is a complex department, and Christy knows that I really respect her and think that she's doing a great job, but I will say that overburdening any one person is exactly how things fall through the cracks. And I think that this is a situation in which we've put ourselves in a position to allow things to fall through the cracks. And right now is really not a time that can happen. I think that we have a lot going on, a lot of changes happening. And instead of maintaining a status quo that would allow us to grow, I think we've set ourselves up for a situation which we might not come out successful. Third, I'm gonna opt out of saying the third thing. So, thank you for listening to me.
And Murphy, if you could, anytime, I'm curious about the concerns you brought that aren't being addressed.
They're not being addressed. I'm just saying when they come to fruition
Absolutely.
and are
If there's
brought up.
anything we should know, I'm not putting you on the spot right now, but either meet with us one-on-one, bring it to a.
That's what I've been
board,
doing.
Whatever. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Anyone else in the present?
I wasn't gonna speak, but I just have a few things. Utility director for Scio Township. Hi. A comment was made if I knew about this change before today or this happening. I did not have any conversation with anybody until this morning when without even looking into this whole special meeting, we already knew exactly what it was gonna be about, so I already knew the direction that certain board members were gonna make with me reporting to Christie. Obviously, I don't have a problem whatsoever reporting to Christie. The violations that we've received, I do want to talk on that. One did happen within a month or two of me being hired here. And then recently we had one for the month of October, if I remember right. Those job duties, and specifically here in Scio Township, for as long as Rich has been here, those have been his responsibilities. Most other townships and municipalities, utility director probably hardly even knows when those tests are being done, depending on the size, and just receives information when they're complete. I am more involved in that. Obviously, I speak to Rich every day to make sure that he's doing the work that he needs to be doing. So that involves a bunch of conversations. So I did have conversations and making sure that this paperwork was submitted to the Eagle website. I did double check with him after the fact to make sure that he did submit it. He did submit it to the Eagle website. However, there was a few buttons that he forgot to click, which ultimately led to it not being submitted. So I did check to make sure verbally that it was submitted. I don't have his login credentials for his account to verify his information. So some of that is relying on your employees to effectively do their job the right way. In my letter to you, the board, ultimately that does fall on me as to the utility director. I understand that, that's why I wrote it that way. I'm not in no way trying to criticize an employee, but from my time with Rich, he is not the best with computers. And so this has been something.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to be sensitive about, I don't want to talk about another employee's performance in a public meeting, try to veer into that.
Especially with the guy.
But I do appreciate the memo that you sent the board a couple days ago. I think there's a lot of room for us all to work together to improve, protocol to make sure it doesn't happen, but I do want to be.
I understand. It was just brought up, so I'm just trying to fully.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just don't, I want to be sensitive to not,
Understand.
yeah,
Okay.
but it is something we need to continue to address, and we do appreciate that memo you sent.
Yes.
Absolutely. And then one of the last things I wanted to say is that there are quite a few emails that I send to the township board that are from my own words. Other things that are more important, I do not just send by myself writing them and then not having them vetted and having somebody look at them to make sure that it's being sent with the right direction and right tone. I really feel like one of the emails that you guys are concerned about was written in coordination with Jillian. And so I just want it to be known that not everything that I send is just coming directly from me. I did have support from Jillian with some of the emails I sent before Jillian was my supervisor. If there was, we had a brief time when Christy was my supervisor in between Joyce and Jillian. Those things would have been coordinated with Christy and then beforehand with Joyce. So not everything that is written is just directly from me to the township board. So I just want to let you be aware of that I do coordinate that information with my supervisors before stuff is being sent. I just wanted to make you aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Thanks for speaking.
That's present for public comment, please.
Hi, I'm Rita, Scio resident, Rita, first year, co-chair. Hey, I just kind of wanted to, just briefly say that, yeah, I don't know if it's just because it's January and it's Monday, but I was going through and trying to pay attention to what all kind of meetings are going on, just get them on my calendar in case I have a chance to look at. And it was frustrating because I couldn't get in on Zoom, but we're having computer
Sorry about
issues. It just never opened up. So it was like, you're just waiting for someone to let you in. So I decided to drive over. I just kind of wanted to hear what the conversation was going to be about. And of course, I must have missed it. It just means that there's probably other people that are in my boat too. And I know how meetings can go. Sometimes you can't get this to work at all. Been there with that. But I just hope this isn't like how it all runs. You know what I mean? I hope this is the thing that happened in January. I hope this isn't the normal thing. And I also want to say, I appreciate your point where you feel like this resolution is just kind of thrown in your lap for now, and now everybody's going to vote on it, and people didn't get a chance to look at it. I kind of appreciate that, and I kind of would have liked to see you just stick to your guns and just say, no, we'll vote another time. I just think that because of but it's January, we're all just trying to get through this, whatever. But anyway, that's all. I just hope that these are just little blips. It happens to us.
Sorry, Mindy. May I respond? The reason you could not get in is because our prior meeting ran over. I take complete responsibility for that. I did not manage the time well enough. to have us end at 3:30. And
It was a different Zoom link.
So I apologize. I'm now understanding why that happened just right now. And so that's something Christy and I will work on, to just use one link for all board meetings at any time. So, sorry.
Okay, we only live 5 minutes away, but it was, then I missed whatever you were talking about.
We'll post the meeting on the website, Rita, so that you
It
can.
looks like it was just posted yesterday.
This meeting
Oh,
is happening right now. I'll post it in the morning on the website, so you should be able to see the beginning of the meeting.
Okay.
So sorry about that, and then maybe you can comment at the next meeting if you need to.
Any other interested public?
Yes, we have
Oh,
Rob.
wait, no.
Oh, I'm
In-person.
sorry, we're
Okay.
still doing in the building. Sorry about that.
Again, Renee Quebec, Scio resident. I'd like to say, because of the differences of what was at the previous meeting, anyone who's watching this or hears about it, I hope they'll go back and hear some of my passionate comments that I made and information I submitted that I won't bother doing now because they're on record from before. But I would also like to thank that, in between the two meetings for the brief break, I was approached by the HR director about something I referenced, and we had a good, positive conversation. She had a misunderstanding of what was needed, and we've talked about clarity of that, and that's being rectified. And then I would also like to appreciate that I had two other trustees that came to me, as well as Christy, to suggest some communication and whatnot. And when there's positive, I like to say thank you for positive. I think that would be great. I think there was a lot of, it was a tough meeting, the previous meeting before. And whether I agree with the board did, I'm not a board member, but I'm trying in this township to be, to give back in ways we can, and so is my husband. So I just want to make sure that this committee knows that when something is done, like people are reaching out, I want to say thank you, because it greatly means a lot. And it also meant a lot when the three of us on Thursday, being in the utilities department with Brandon, Jillian happened to walk in, and I'm not sure if she even knew, Supervisor Carrie walked in. I'm not sure if she even knew we were coming, but she was warm and welcoming, and because we felt a little awkward when it happened and we were just shaking hands with people and whatnot. And that meant a lot to us. So I know there's been discussion. There always is two sides to whatever environment's going on, but that was welcoming also. So I would just like to compliment that and say, I dealt with the previous supervisor for almost 2 years, and he never even mentioned my name when I saw him on the street. So thank you again. And hopefully I'm going to try and stay positive that we can move forward, change some of what we saw today. It's January, it's crazy, and scheduling meetings around this time is difficult, snowstorms, holidays, pre-existing holiday plans. So, and I hear a lot of problems about scheduling meetings, so I don't know how you correct that, but anyways, thank you very much, and I'll do my best moving forward on the next committee I'm working on. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Renee.
Thanks, Ray.
Anyone else in Township Hall, public comments? No, okay.
All right, Rob, this is real now. Go ahead. You're next.
Thank you. Rob Pattinson, Scio Township resident. First of all, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
First of all, thank you to Utilities Director McNeil and Parks Director Harrington for having the courage to speak up during this meeting. I think this board needs to take significant notice of the things they had to say. I was only able to see the first half hour of the previous meeting. And between that meeting and this meeting, something is terribly wrong in this board. I don't know what it is. I don't know the cause. I don't know what's going on. Quite frankly, I don't care. But this meeting and the previous meeting were a disaster. And I hold each and every one of you individually and collectively responsible for fixing this. There is something going on, and all of you need to take responsibility in fixing it. It was an absolute disaster, and some of the things that Director Harrington talked about that there are going to be problems in the future that are going to slip through the cracks. And there are problems that she wasn't even willing to refer to in public. It seems to me that that's only one person. And if that is going on in all of the departments, you need to start paying attention to what your staff have to say. I would recommend maybe some formal meetings that would give staff an opportunity to communicate with the board. Something is terribly, terribly wrong. We got rid of this tyrannical power struggle with the last supervisor. And here we are 2 months into the new term, and something is terribly wrong. I'm deeply disturbed by what I saw today. You got a lot of work to do. Please attend to it quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. Next up is Pam Boyd. Go ahead, Pam.
Thank you. As the owner of a company who has to deal directly with the people who work for me, the last thing that I would do is when a big change is going to happen, is wait until the last day for that person who works for me to tell them about it. It seems to me that there should have been an ongoing discussion amongst the individuals. And so I think that could have been done a whole lot better. That I think that was a disservice to Brandon. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Next up is Paula. Go ahead, Paula.
Yeah, I'm not going to critique any meetings, but this IT glitch has existed for I've had problems with for 3 years. If you have 2 meetings, or even if a meeting started, you don't have the Zoom number. So now I write the Zoom number. I've discussed about that before, and that's it. We need to fix that, and forever until it's fixed, everybody needs to write the Zoom meeting number. But I like the clerk's idea of one number for the meetings. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Paul,
Yeah, so that is going to happen for the rest of the board meetings. Today was an exception. So,
Yeah, we are gonna have one recurring.
yeah, thanks to Christy.
Hopefully not right. That's it, Julie.
Okay, adjourn the meeting.
I would like to make a comment, please.
Okay,
I just want to talk to the employees that, I would hope that if you have issues, you will raise those through HR. That would be the appropriate process. If Aurora doesn't know about it, she can't take any action. So that's all I'm going to say. Really, please just raise them, and I'm sure that we will deal with them. Thank you.
Yeah, if not your direct supervisor, of course, Aurora. I would also say this is the first time after 5 years on a board where you have a board of trustees who's wanting to engage meaningfully with employees. And we've talked about performance evaluations, goal setting, all of this stuff. And I know that this board is going to start some of that. So I'm hopeful, because I think that that's been kind of a missing part of Scio Township for a while.
any other board member have a comment? A motion to adjourn at
4:39.
4:39?
I'll motion to adjourn 4:30.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None.
Sure. Thank you.